the West receives its third warning from the East in a week. At the Convention Center, the start of the Asian Pacific Economic Cooperation APEC summit in Bangkok, Thailand, Dmitry Kosyrev writes from Real Novosti, "If you want to destroy the world economy, do it. A Western group of countries led by the United States heard it for the third time in 1 week at the third Asian capital. First it was the conference, the East Asia Summit in Cambodia, then the meeting of the Group of 20, the G20 leading economies in Bali, Indonesia, and now a series of APEC events in Thailand. A thought is a one-time exchange of views, a clarification of positions with or without a final document, which is why in such cases more frequent conflicts are observed without specific consequences. APEC operates on different principles, so the outcome of today's Bangkok meetings is harder to see, but more effective. It's a fact that APEC is a powerful spectral organization of the 21st century economy, that is, of all those that border the Pacific Ocean or are located within it. And this organization works with many meetings and committees throughout the year, exclusively in the areas of the economy. It comes up with new measures and rules to ensure that nothing in the region hinders trade, investment, and business in general. These rules become laws or regulations in all economies, but in any case, this thing works, making APEC the main engine of global growth. And the Money Forum, with the two top summits of businessmen and political leaders, is only an external part of the process. There are two reasons why the Western, including Japan or Australia, members of APEC did not turn the Bangkok meeting into another showdown for Ukraine. The first is that it is unrelated to the Pacific, and the second is that Westerners already knew from their experience in Cambodia and Indonesia what would happen. Thus, the final document of 23 general and vague paragraphs in Bangkok states that about Ukrainian history some expressed one way and others another, but right after that comes a key phrase. Quote, recognizing that APEC is not a tax where security issues are resolved, where we recognize that security issues can be important in the global economy, and then, end quote. And here lies the crux of what happened on the forum. The fact is that APEC is like a sleeper who has just woken up, and when he looks back, he is scared. In 2019, there was no forum, as the host country, Chile, had all sorts of purely local issues going on, and then the brutal methods of dealing with the pandemic crippled the global economy almost to the point of collapse, with supply chains collapsing, industry slowing, and a host of other misfortunes. Finally, the Western group of states, with the principle a pogrom is a pogrom, attacked Russia, provoking a conflict in Ukraine and undermining the entire world economy with sanctions. But before that, without any Ukraine, they imposed very similar actions against the Pacific nation, China. That is, APEC has been engaged in the long and arduous process of removing every obstacle to business in the vast region, but now sees that a key Pacific economy, the US, has imposed itself on another economy in the region, that is China, and is demanding that everyone to subvert or limit ties with China. And here we see one of the many episodes in Bangkok where the genius of the moment, not directly related to APEC, French President Emmanuel Macron, was not too lazy to come after Indonesia and say there, more and more countries are put in a position where you have to choose between committing to Beijing or Washington, and that's a huge mistake, is what Macron said. The second episode is what happened there with U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris. She got there to replace the tired President Joe Biden in Indonesia, or much earlier. In keeping with American tradition, the main points of her speech at the leaders' meeting were leaked to the media in advance, but when it came time for the speech as such, it turned out that the sharp corners were rounded, and she didn't even directly name China, saying in effect that there is no better partner for the region than the US. In the end, China dominated the waves of the Pacific, Everyone remembered, and the forgetful remembered, that China had built the Regional Free Trade Area, RCEP, launched this year, where its trade reached $1.2 trillion in only 8 months of the year, or $2.87 trillion in the region as a whole, before today's misery began. China's Xi Jinping proved to be an undeniable ray of hope for those gathered. In one of his speeches, he tried to meet expectations by saying that the region is no one's backyard and should not become an arena of competition between great powers. He said no attempt to wage a new Cold War must be allowed by our people and our time, he said, adding that unilateralism and protectionism, any attempt to politicize and weaponize economic and trade relations must be rejected, and I totally agree with him. Yes, this is all sanctions, with or without cause, which begs the question, what is the bottom line? If we talk only about APEC, the Asian Pacific Economic Conference, the bottom line is that this mechanism woke up after 3 years of non-existence. It has started working at full capacity. All programs to remove more and more barriers between economies have been revived, which of course opposes the plan of the US and its allies to divide the world economy into two systems, as during the Cold War. It's reminiscent of the behavior of ants when someone pokes a stick into their common home. They all run around holding little straws in their jaws to get things back to the way they were. The future fate of APEC is in doubt as the presidency passes to the US, which only knows how to impose its own agendas on the region, like a scared green transition of the world in the Stone Age. Another question is whether 3 warnings from the crowd gathered simultaneously in the 3 Asian capitals was enough for them and their allies to realize that their new Cold War had gone wrong. West receives 3rd warning from East in a week. And I've translated this for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.